I want to ask you about Jay-Z's album.
I think it's genius. I mean, like all of his projects, I thought it was really great.
Jay-Z new video with Nas and DJ Khaled is a scene with checkerboards. These are all occult, Satanist, symbolic symbols.
Shock hit like a thunderclap. In one ruling, Jay-Z, the billionaire who built an empire on power, secrecy, and prestige, was suddenly staring at a $1.6 billion courtroom defeat. Not a quiet settlement, not a handshake behind closed doors. A judgment so huge it ripped through the music world and dragged his darkest accusations back into the spotlight. At the center was Ramir, the man who's long claimed he's Jay-Z's son. And this time, he walked out of court with a victory that can't be ignored. But that's not all. The whispers about Jay-Z's dirty past with a teen are no longer whispers. They're headlines. And those headlines threaten everything. Roc Nation, luxury deals, even his marriage to Beyonce. We'll reveal more about that later in this video. If you're following this unraveling saga, hit the like button now. It helps push this story past the algorithm so more people see it.
I don't have no felonies. I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that, you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
For years, Ramir was treated like background noise, brushed aside whenever he pushed for answers. Growing up in Philadelphia, he says his life has always been defined by one question: who is my father? His words don't sound wild or desperate. They sound exhausted. I'm not crazy. I don't have felonies. I just want the truth, he's repeated time and again. Each request for DNA testing was met with silence, while Jay-Z projected the image of untouchable power, too big to be bothered. But listen to this. Persistence finally cracked the wall. After years of blocked filings and failed appeals, Ramir forced his way into the courtroom spotlight. What started as a personal plea has now become a legal earthquake, shaking the foundations of Jay-Z's carefully protected image. And the fallout only grows when you look at the money, because $1.6 billion doesn't just bruise a billionaire, it can break one. Even for someone called a billionaire, $1.6 billion is not just a setback, it's a disaster. Jay-Z's fortune, estimated at a little over $2 billion, suddenly looks fragile when nearly 2/3 of it could vanish in one judgment. That's not just a bill to pay, it's a crisis that can force asset sales, strip away partnerships, and leave an empire bleeding in public view. And here's the twist. Money is only part of the damage. Billionaires survive on confidence, and nothing rattles investors more than instability tied to personal scandal. Every hour that judgment looms, corporate partners reconsider deals, sponsors calculate risks, and brand value evaporates. And while Jay-Z fights in court, insiders whisper that Beyonce herself may have reached her breaking point.
I love Beyonce. Jay-Z too, I really admire the both of them.
And then there's Beyonce, the global icon whose brand has been built on flawless execution, now forced to watch her marriage become a battlefield. For years, she's been the master of control, shaping every image, every performance, every headline into perfection. But this scandal is different. Behind the scenes, whispers say she's already delivered an ultimatum. Either Jay-Z settles this before the fallout detonates, or she reconsiders the foundation of their entire relationship. Imagine the calculation. Beyonce has weathered betrayal before, but this isn't just another rumor. This is a court-certified billion-dollar humiliation, tied to accusations stretching back to when Ramir's mother was underage. How do you turn that into a tour announcement? How do you shield 3 children from classmates repeating headlines that never stop coming?
Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
But listen to this. Insiders claim calls have already been placed to elite divorce attorneys. Quiet, exploratory, but serious enough to fuel a rumor mill that rarely slows once it starts. Each delay in court doesn't just buy Jay-Z time, it costs Beyonce control of her narrative. And her allies fear brand damage is already leaking through, with luxury partners pausing deals and endorsement talks suddenly cooling. And here's the detail that could make it even worse. Ramir's win doesn't just vindicate his own fight, it could embolden others. Already, one name is resurfacing, a Maryland woman who claims she too is Jay-Z's child. As if one courtroom battle wasn't enough, another figure is stepping back into the spotlight. Her name has circled gossip blogs for years. Letitia, a woman from Maryland who has long claimed Jay-Z is her father. For most of that time, her story was dismissed, tucked away as small-town chatter. But Ramir's billion-dollar win changes everything. Suddenly, what once sounded impossible feels like it could happen again. And it gets crazier. Those close to her say she's been sitting on more evidence than she's ever revealed. Past claims hinted that Jay-Z quietly supported her, even purchasing a home, with one condition: never show his photo. If she decides to push forward now, Jay-Z wouldn't be facing one legal firestorm, but two. A chain reaction no strategist could spin away. Claims like Letitia's don't just stop with family stories. For years, rumors have swirled that Jay-Z quietly paid to keep certain doors closed. Former friends allege he purchased homes, covered bills, and arranged silent support, all under strict conditions of secrecy. These whispers say photos of him were forbidden in certain households, and any acknowledgement came with consequences. Suddenly, the mogul who looked invincible is fighting to keep his empire from crumbling. And that leaves Beyoncé in an even tighter corner, forced to weigh whether staying beside him is saving her brand or sinking it. Beyoncé isn't just an artist, she's a global trademark. Her name sells fashion, film, and stadium tours that move entire economies. But standing beside Jay-Z in the middle of a billion-dollar scandal puts her image on the line in ways even she can't fully control. Every delay in court isn't just his problem, it's hers. But listen to this, insiders say endorsement deals are already cooling. Luxury brands thrive on prestige, not controversy, and Beyoncé's alignment with a husband under siege makes boardrooms nervous. She's trapped in an impossible equation. Leave too early and risk being seen as disloyal. Stay too long and risk watching her empire erode by association. For someone who spent decades perfecting every optic, this scandal is more than a distraction. It's a direct hit. And as her patience runs thin, the industry begins to whisper louder about what's still to come.
Working really hard and trying my best to keep growing and keep opening up doors. So I'm just very honored, very honored.
Congratulations, and take this as well.
The noise around Jay-Z isn't quieting down, it's multiplying. Ramir's win has emboldened others, and the industry rumor mill is heating up with talk of more hidden children, old affairs, and unsettled secrets. Stories that were once dismissed as gossip now feel like ticking time bombs waiting to resurface. And in the entertainment world, once one claim is validated, the rest suddenly look possible. But it gets worse. The refusal to take a DNA test, once brushed off as protecting privacy, now reads to many as if there's something more to hide. Each no comment fuels speculation, and every silence gives oxygen to whispers that never die. As these stories gain momentum, they don't just target his image, they threaten to ignite a full-on collapse of confidence. And while the whispers grow louder, the money behind the empire begins to tremble.
This is what I look for. When I see a success, I'm looking for anything
to say that they didn't do it on their own?
To taint.
Behind the headlines, boardrooms are already moving. Investors don't wait for verdicts, they react to risk. And nothing looks riskier than a $1.6 billion judgment paired with whispers of a dirty past. Marketing teams quietly pause campaigns, luxury rollouts are placed on hold, and some partners begin scrubbing his image from future projects. Confidence, once his greatest asset, is bleeding fast. But here's the twist. Perception is often more powerful than fact. Even without another ruling, the rumor of instability alone can sink negotiations, stall contracts, and trigger panic sales. Jay-Z's empire isn't built on cash alone. It's built on trust. And when that trust cracks, the money follows. Every day, the judgment looms unpaid, the optics harden. And those optics aren't just haunting his balance sheet, they're fueling a pattern of doubt tied to secrets Jay-Z has fought to keep buried.
Jay-Z would try to run away from his past.
Calling that nigga loving anything that he did love. Brother love. What kind of love? Baby oil love? Baby love?
The most dangerous part of this saga isn't just the billion-dollar number. It's the pattern people believe they're seeing. For years, Jay-Z has sidestepped DNA tests, brushed off claims, and leaned on silence to keep the questions buried. That strategy worked when whispers stayed in tabloids. But now, with Ramir's courtroom victory stamped into public record, the same silence feels like a confession in disguise. And it gets worse. Once people think there's a pattern, they stop asking if more stories exist and start asking how many. Every old rumor, every piece of gossip about hidden children or quiet payouts suddenly sounds credible. What was once dismissed as noise now looks like puzzle pieces falling into place. Critics point to every no comment as proof of something darker. Each refusal to take a test, each delay in court, fuels the belief that there's more he doesn't want revealed. The perception alone is enough to damage reputations, because in an industry where image is currency, silence becomes its own scandal. And as the pattern narrative grows louder, rivals are circling. Some watching quietly, others sharpening their attacks, ready to exploit every crack in the armor. In moments like this, silence can be deafening. Some of Jay-Z's closest allies, people who once stood proudly beside him, are choosing to say nothing. Rihanna, one of Roc Nation's brightest stars, hasn't said a word. Even Kanye, sometimes a brother, sometimes a rival, has avoided comment. Their distance feels calculated, like a protective wall built to keep them safe from the fallout. In Hollywood, silence isn't apathy, it's survival. But here's where it gets interesting. Not everyone is holding back. 50 Cent has turned Jay-Z's scandal into ammunition, gleefully mocking his refusal to take DNA tests. His barbs aren't just jokes. They're designed to chip away at Jay-Z's carefully built aura of untouchability. When a rival of equal stature takes aim, it signals to the industry that the once untouchable mogul is now vulnerable prey. And that's the danger. Silence from allies, ridicule from enemies, both paint the same picture. The armor is cracking. In an industry that thrives on perception, weakness is blood in the water. The question isn't whether rivals will strike, but how many will step forward once the first blow lands.
Well, like, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet. Like while the Puffy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also.
If silence from allies feels calculated, there's a reason for it. Jay-Z's reach goes far beyond music. His influence runs through award committees, corporate partnerships, sports management, and even philanthropic boards. To speak out against him isn't just burning a bridge, it's setting fire to an entire network of opportunity. That's why many in the industry, even those uneasy about the headlines, remain quiet. They know how much power he still holds. But here's the catch. Power doesn't make you untouchable forever. Behind closed doors, executives and artists weigh their options carefully. Do they risk staying aligned with someone whose reputation could collapse at any moment? Or do they wait it out, hoping his resources and connections are strong enough to shield him again? Fear of retaliation keeps lips sealed, but fear of association makes silence dangerous too. This balancing act creates a strange tension. Publicly, no one wants to be the first to denounce him. Privately, conversations grow louder about how long the empire can survive. And if one influential figure finally breaks ranks, it could open the floodgates. Because when the shield of power begins to crack, the fall can be sudden and absolute.
What does feed you? What feeds you?
I have to be saying something important. It has to mean something. You know, it has to mean something to a larger society.
And now it all comes down to this, a crossroads. On one side, Jay-Z uses his wealth, his connections, and his influence to settle, silence, and stabilize. It's the path he's chosen before, relying on power to weather storms until the headlines fade. On the other side, the empire splinters in real time. Assets stripped, alliances shattered, and a legacy rewritten not in platinum records, but in courtroom transcripts. But listen closely. This scandal isn't just about one man. It's about a brand that shaped music, culture, and business for decades. If Jay-Z falls, the shockwaves ripple through Beyonce, through Roc Nation, through every artist, partner, and investor tied to his name. The image of invincibility he spent years building is now hanging by a thread. So the question remains, will this be the scandal that finally topples one of music's most powerful figures, or will the same power that built him ensure he walks away again? If you've stayed with us this far, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. This isn't just entertainment, it's a story that could reshape the industry as we know it.